morning, everyone. My name is Maya Luria with TMC for Seniors, and I apologize. We are running a few minutes late here today. We've had weather issues and traffic issues, but we are ready to go. And so I am excited to share with everybody. We've got an in-person audience and an at-home audience, all about fraud alert, scams targeting older adults. So I have Patricia Moodie-Brown with me and Joe Canino. They are both with the Division of Economic Services, the Division of Aging and Adult Services. It's a lot, Patricia, I know, to share. And you are going to share with us more about things that older adults need to really be on the lookout for, so that they don't get stuck with a fraud or a scam scheme. So I'm really excited that you're able to do that here with us today. So welcome.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Those of you who are joining us online, welcome. And for those of you that are sitting here, welcome as well. My name is Patricia Moodie-Brown, and I'm with the Division of Aging and Adult Services and Division of Community and Assistance and Development. And I started with DES back in 2015 as working with child services and child support services, and I transitioned over to adult protective services, which I'm delighted because I was able to make a difference in the community and just work with seniors and make sure that they're safe and protected. And when this opportunity came around for me to go around the entire state of Arizona and talk to different community partners and senior centers, folks about adult protective services, what we do and what we can do. This was a great opportunity. So here I am. And with me today is Joe. He's one of our managers with APS. So he's working in the field with his staff. So Joe, do you want to introduce yourself really quick?
Sure. So before coming to state service, I was a high school history teacher. I taught high school special education. Then I moved out to Arizona and started working for the state of Arizona. I started off with child protective services and then moved to adult protective services. And after being an investigator for a few years, I moved up to a unit supervisor, and now I'm currently a program manager.
All right. So thank you so much again for joining us. And again, we're going to talk about our presentation overview today and what we'll be talking about. So first of all, we're going to cover authorities and duties of APS. What is APS role? What can we do? What are our limitations? And what is our authority? We're going to talk about terms and definition as in statute. And then we're going to talk about how do you recognize maltreatment? What is maltreatment? How do you recognize abuse? How do you recognize maltreatment? And we're going to talk about the different maltreatment that you'll see. Then we're going to talk about financial exploitations and scams, which you all probably got about 5 calls this morning, someone trying to scam you or something. Then we're going to go into how do you file a report? What are the steps? And then we're going to talk a little bit about mandated reporters and what their responsibility. And then we're going to share state, local resources. And in the end, we'll save our questions to the end. So we continue in that space. All right, so APS operates in the entire state of Arizona, the entire state. We have investigators, and we receive reports on neglect, self-neglect, exploitation of vulnerable adults, and except on tribal lands. So APS, one of the things that we can do is taking reports. If someone is maltreated or have some experiencing neglect, self-neglect, but again, only for vulnerable adults. So unless you're vulnerable, we will not take that report. And I'll talk about how do we know who is vulnerable. APS evaluates the need for protective services based on, if availability and acceptance. So sometimes certain services are not available in certain areas. However, people have to be willing to accept our services, okay? And APS can refer guardian and conservatorship via the public fiduciary, right, when it's appropriate. We can file for guardianship for you, but we can refer you over to the public fiduciary, Okay, APS has the authority to get financial and records and medical records only during an investigation, right? And APS also have the authority to maintain the APS registry, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So here's some of the things that APS cannot do. We can't take custody of an adult. So a lot of people think, okay, something go wrong, APS can just grab them. No, we can't, because we don't have that authority, right? Because they're adults and they have rights, and we can't remove people from their living environment against their will. All right, and if someone is not incapacitated, we cannot make decision for a capacitated person's chosen lifestyle. So if someone is living in a hoarding situation and that's their choice, we can't stop them from living from that. But if they need our help, we can step in and help them. But again, they have to accept our services. APS cannot make financial decision based on the adult's behalf. Okay, so and we cannot serve as a guardian or a conservator. Okay, so here's some of the reported criteria. You remember how we talk about APS accepts report in the entire state of Arizona? So for us to accept report, that person has to be vulnerable and be incapacitated, right? So we're going to talk about how do we know when a person is vulnerable? Here is what the statutes state that a person is vulnerable. An individual who is 18 years or older, unable to protect themselves from maltreatment as defined as abuse, neglect, self-neglect, exploitation by others because of physical or mental impairment. And this also includes an incapacitated person. So again, APS can only take reports for folks that are vulnerable. And here is the definition for vulnerable adult. However, there are certain individuals that are considered a categorical of vulnerable adults, and those persons have been appointed by a guardian or a conservator through the courts, right? Or they might be a member of the Division of Disabilities, right? Or they're on Arizona Long-Term Care Services, or has a serious mental illness. So again, those are the folks that APS will take their case. And these are some of the maltreatment that APS will investigate: abuse, neglect, self-neglect, and exploitation. And I'm going to let Joe kind of just explain to you some of those abuse, and he's going to share some examples. And Joe, I'm going to let you take it over here.
So our first allegation here
Joe,
is...
so they can see you, sorry.
So our first allegation here is about hits, bite marks, pushes, anything with a potential open wound or anything like that. That is one of our categories that we would investigate for abuse.
Okay.
Sexual abuse is another one that we talk about. We hear a lot of, people being taken advantage of in facilities, especially memory care facilities. So we want to look for, unexplained, vaginal or anal bruising, bleeding, anything like that. Unexpected marks where they shouldn't be. That would be under sexual abuse.
And I just want to add, there are a lot of times that if someone has dementia and they report something, a lot of times they might not be believed because people are saying, oh, it's not true. I say, if you hear something, say something, because you just never know. And, and I'll share with you a case. Actually, I can share with you a case where we had this client. She was in a facility, and we had someone that was, abusing the people with dementia, and they went from one facility to the next facility, and they kept doing this. And they had a case that was open, and they keep saying chicken nuggets. And the long and short of this story was she couldn't explain what was going on. But then in the end, they realized that this person was going from facility to facility and causing sexual abuse on these people that have dementia. So again, if you see something, say something. If you hear something, just make sure you file that report, or report to someone else that can file that report for you.
Emotional abuse. This is one of our new allegations that we started taking in October of 2023, which is emotional abuse. This is a little bit different than our normal allegations because you have to be a paid caregiver of some sort, and it has to be a pattern. It can't just be like the drug addict at Circle K screaming at you because you won't give them $1. No, it has to be someone of authority, someone who's directly involved in your care. And that is, verbal, that's withholding food, that is kind of isolating you from family and friends, or, making ridiculing comments about how you look, your clothing, such things of that nature. And then neglect. This is probably one of our biggest ones, especially in care facilities, with bed sores, care plans not being followed. If part of the care plan is you have to have a 2-person assist from the bed to the wheelchair or the wheelchair to the commode, a lot of times facilities are trying to work within a budget and they will try to skirt tail some of the care plans. So this is kind of where we see neglect. You're supposed to be a 2-person assist, 1 person helps. You fall, you break an arm, a leg, a hip, whatever, that would constitute neglect. Also, unexplainable weight gain or weight loss. Are you being fed the proper nutrition that your doctor has said you need to? Are you being fed junk? Are you not being fed? These are other things that we would look at in neglect cases.
And even this one, Joe, over and under medication. So is the caregiver over medicating the client because they want to be on their phone? That's neglect too. Okay, I don't want to do this to them. Let me just give them some extra medication. Or if, withhold, spouses withhold. I had a case where a spouse was withholding the medication from the other spouse and she ended up in the hospital. So those are again, neglect.
Self-neglect. Self-neglect is our biggest category that there is. And this is where we see a lot of seniors that are living by themselves. They're maybe not taking care of themselves, not getting their medication, not eating, living in hoarder conditions. It's not uncommon to see seniors that will take care of their pets more than they'll take care of themselves. I had a case where the lady couldn't afford food for herself, but she had 7 dogs living with her. So the money that she would get from Social Security was going for pet food and stuff. So she was neglecting her care and her hygiene for her pets. But self-neglect is the biggest category, the biggest amount of reports that we get per year.
And I would recommend if you see your neighbors, right? Remember your neighbors used to pass you and say, hello, good morning, how are you? If all of a sudden that you notice that they're not, saying hello, they just pass you with the gaze, that to me is a red flag, because that tells me that something is going on. If you have a neighbor and you realize something is going on too, check the refrigerator. Is there old food? Just those are, if someone used to be active, they're not wanting to do things anymore. You might want to check in on them and see how they're doing because, again, self-neglect is one of the biggest cases that we've been getting. Even when people go into the hospital, like they have a fall, they come back home, they're not able to do activities of daily living, things that they used to do, washing, cooking, that kind of thing, checking on your neighbors.
I think also another thing we see, which is not necessarily intentional, but with medication bottles, look how hard it is to kind of turn them and get them open. So a lot of people will go without taking their medication because they can't get the bottle open. If they just had their neighbors checking in on them or their kids checking in on them, open them up, maybe put them in those little pill packets of, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, where it's easier to open and get the medication. Exploitation. This one is primarily funds or resources. If you are the victim of a scam, that would also be in here. Any misuse of your money, whether it be someone else has access to it, a family member, a friend, and they're purchasing things not on the vulnerable adult's behalf, that would be exploitation. Also, we are starting to see sexual exploitation, such as, pictures of, and what may seem innocent is showing up on the internet. It's showing up in all these different places. And, the vulnerable adult, it did not consent to that. They feel embarrassed. We had a case one time where there was a caregiver doing this TikTok thing. Nice guy, he was doing his little TikTok skit, but there happened to be a vulnerable adult in the background that was changing. And her family found out. They were on TikTok, they saw it, and they were upset about it. My family member is half dressed in the background. Whatever you're doing, fine, but why is my loved one, in your video? She didn't consent to that. She's embarrassed. So that would be exploitation. The biggest thing that we are seeing now is scams. I'm sure today probably all of us got at least 2 or 3 text messages or something, hey, you won this, come, follow this link and put in your information. Guys, I'll be honest with you, scammers are getting better every day, and they're always 2 steps ahead of us. We skirt tail one thing and they got 2 more going in the background. The biggest one is now with the computers. Hey, we found pornography on your computer. Give us your information. We'll get in your computer. We'll take care of it for you. $200. All of us now are at an age, that's not on my computer. What is it doing there? I'll do anything to get it off there. And the scammers are sweet talkers. They can sell ice to an Eskimo. Another thing we're seeing is, hey, your loved one, it was kidnapped. Send us X amount of money. And artificial intelligence is so good right now, they need 4 words from you, and they can imitate your voice. So if you happen to get one of these scams, and they say, is this so-and-so? Don't say yes. Say, I'm listening. Because they'll take that yes, and now, is this you? They can open a credit card in your name because they have you saying yes. So I'm listening. Romance scams. This is another big one. Unfortunately, a lot of our vulnerable adults are at a stage, a spouse passed away. They want some companionship. Somebody calls them up. They find them on the internet and they sweet talk them. And the next thing you know, they have 4, 5, 6 months of Social Security payments from you in their bank, and they don't exist. We've also had cases where people are actually selling their house because they are told that they're going to move to this foreign country with this person and be with them. I had a case one time where this lady was convinced that her boyfriend was in the military and he was Secret Services, so he couldn't provide any pictures, he couldn't do any video chats, he couldn't do anything. Her son found out, went to the church and said, hey, I need you to help my mom. This is what's going on. Everybody tried to educate her and she would not listen. She sent probably $10,000 to this mysterious guy over in the Middle East. And like I said, there's nothing to be embarrassed about it because they are getting so good at it. Even people, mine and Pat's age, we have colleagues that have fell for it. Another manager in my office, she got one of those AI scams, from her daughter, saying that her daughter was in a crash. They needed money to get her to the hospital. Luckily, since we deal with this stuff every day, she knew to have her husband call her daughter's work where she was supposed to be working while she was talking to the scam artist.
So did they catch him?
No, unfortunately. I mean, they're in other countries.
Yeah.
So one of the other things that they're looking at is the obits. So they're looking for dead folks. So if a husband is died, they start preying on the wife. And men, and I always say this, women sometimes will send little money at a time. Men just send it all because they'll get a picture from Thailand of this beautiful girl that's 22 and they're like, yeah, I want to go out with this hot chick. Send me some money. And I had a guy that sent $75,000 at once. And he was so embarrassed. he was so embarrassed about it. And just be careful about these pictures. They're not real.
Sure.
They're just trying to go after your money. And, just be careful. And, I would advise like the ladies that are very lonely and you're getting that phone call, just, when they call, just kind of say something like, you know what, my daughter take over my finances. So I don't have access to my account. And then see if they'll call you back. Cause just, I don't have access anymore, and see if they'll call you back, because like I said, they'll just give you a story over and over and over, and you just fall for it.
Another thing that we're seeing, and this is new, is these scam artists are somehow they find out which bank you guys belong to. Okay. They will go on the internet for the bank website and find somebody at a local branch that you're probably going to go to. If it's like 10 miles within your house, they're calling and say, hey, I'm bank manager so-and-so. We're thinking, hey, I know that person. I've seen them. They are there. You trust them. And we are all at an age where we respect authority. If you say you're the bank manager, you're a police officer, we've just been ingrained, this is a respect. You've earned that. We're going to give you what you need. So be very, very cautious about that. What I would suggest is say, I'll call you back, disconnect the call, and then call the bank itself. Yeah, they're getting that.
The other comment is, when did I last call you?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. And remember, they're never going to call you and say, give me your social security number, giving your bank information. They're not. You have to call them and provide that. Viruses on the computer. Everybody has phones now. Everybody has iPads. This is another one. Hey, and we've all seen them. The pop-up comes up. You've been infected. My grandma got one the other day. I'm like, you have an Apple tablet like this. You don't have virus protection. X this out. But yeah, if I wasn't there, she would have gone in because she thought she had a virus.
And I had a client, right? She got an email from Chase. So she clicked on it and, about her house. Thank goodness her son got a hold of it. She would have just gave over her house to these guys. So be careful. Amazon, you just received a package. Click on it. Don't click on it.
Yeah.
And something that will okay, I'm going to talk about the Publishers Clearinghouse. You go ahead, Joe.
All right. Publishers Clearinghouse is a big one. Send us $5,000, we'll enter you a chance to win. This one is probably one of the older ones around. I played it a couple of times and I'm like, the chances of winning, I could get struck by lightning twice and have a better chance. But yeah, they're using sweepstakes. We had one, actually, I think it was down here in Tucson. I heard about it a couple of weeks ago. Somebody received a email saying that you won a $500 shopping spree to Walmart. Follow the link. Followed the link, started putting their information. It's like, wait a minute, I've never heard of Walmart doing $500 shopping sprees. Let me X at it. But that was here down in Tucson.
So again, if you didn't play anything, you're not going to win anything. So just be smart.
I also had a case, this is years ago, where somehow they found out that this client was looking for a new car. She was looking to downsize from the family car since it was just her. Somehow the scammer was able to convince her that if she sent him X amount of thousands of dollars, she would get a new car. He presented himself as a car dealership. He was so good. He actually called the car dealership, had them bring the car to her house that she was interested. So everything is looking legit. Okay, send us the money. We'll get you the paperwork in the mail. They did send some paperwork in the mail, but it was all fictitious. So she sent them like $30,000, never got the car. And it was legit. Like, it was a legit car dealership. It was a legit salesman.
Wow.
So even they sort of fell for it. But, hey, she's elderly. She doesn't like to drive a lot. Can you bring the car here so she could take a look at it? We'll get her down to the dealer to sign final paperwork.
Like Joe said, they're getting smarter and smarter. If you're not sure, reach out to someone. Come down to the senior center. Ask questions. Say, Maya, I don't understand this. Can you take a look at this for me? Things like that. So you're ready to make a report. You saw somebody's self-neglecting. You saw somebody is getting abused. So here's how you can file a report. There's two ways. You can do it by phone or online. And most of you seniors will probably just do it on phone. So here's the phone number, 1-877-767-2385. And they're open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. On the weekends and state holidays, 10 to 6.
And one thing, being from the field, I really, really encourage you, if you do call and make a report, please give us your information. All sources are confidential and they are protected by state and federal law. However, if you're calling about your neighbor saying, hey, something's going on, and we come out and we don't know that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday she goes to the doctors or the senior center, and we happen to come out on those days, there's a chance that we will miss her, not be able to help her. But if we can call you back, and I get it, you're going to get asked a whole lot of questions. You're not going to think to answer. You're not going to think to tell us that. But if we call you back, we're going to say, hey, is there anything else you can tell us? Do you know her schedule by any chance? Then you'll be like, hey, Friday is the best day to come. She's home. She has groceries delivered. She has her caregiver come in. So I know for a fact she'll be home on Fridays. So yes, please provide your information when making a report.
Yeah, and I know sometimes you might not want to say anything because you're afraid that your neighbor probably won't talk to you. Just so you know, if you file a report with us, we'll never disclose who did it. We'll never tell anyone that you did it. Okay, so
your names don't even come up in the report. Okay. So like the report that the investigator gets, and when they get out, none of your information is in that.
Okay, so Joe, do you want to go over the process how it works?
Sure. All right, so when a report is made from our hotline, so when you call, we have a central intake unit that they're based in Phoenix. They will ask you some questions, some demographic information, phone number, address, what's going on, yada, 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 yada. After that, if it meets our criteria, then it will get dispositioned to a field investigator. Okay, we are all broken in zip codes. So I'm in District 1, so my service area is Chandler, Gilbert, Tempe, South Phoenix, Ahwatukee, Glendale, and Mesa.
And this area is at Dr. Angela Lynch.
Yes, this is District 2. So this is Angela Lynch. She would be your manager. But after it's routed to the field for investigation, it will be investigated thoroughly, records requested, collaterals contacted, and the investigation will be closed and or services will be provided before closure.
And there are times that it doesn't meet criteria. We'll refer it over to like AAA or other services, or we'll just keep the information on file.
Sure.
And during an investigation outcome, there's only 3 outcomes we can have. The case can be substantiated, and if it's substantiated, then it will go towards the courts, and it could go if someone is if it comes out to be true, that person could be on the registry, or it could be just verified or unsubstantiated. If it's unsubstantiated, that means we find the allegations not to be true. If it's verified, then the allegations it happened, but it happened it's verified that it happened.
And just because a report is unsubstantiated doesn't mean that it didn't happen or something didn't happen. It's just we couldn't find credible evidence to prove it. So, I always kind of go in every report we've received. There's a little bit of truth to it, but does it meet that threshold to, actually something really did happen to this vulnerable adult? That's what we need to collect our evidence for.
All right. And so the registry, so if that case is substantiated and it move over to the courts and then it's placed on the registry, right? And the purpose of the registry is to protect vulnerable adults like yourselves, right? And so we'll have the name, the date of birth, and what they did. And this registry, they can be on the registry up to 25 years. And the registry can be accessed online, and there is the website online. And if someone is coming to work for you in your private home, you can also go on this registry and check them out just to make sure that they didn't commit, they didn't abuse or commit one of those maltreatment to a client. So I advise you, if you're hiring people in your home privately, just have a family member. If you can't access this website, have a family member access it for you. Or again, come down to the senior center. I'm sure someone here will help you to access that.
What I always tell my investigators is to think of our APS registry as like the sex offender registry. This is public knowledge. It's out there. It's just for your knowledge. Wouldn't you want to know who's living next door to you? Did they abuse someone in another part of town? You want to know if they move in next to you. So kind of think of our APS registry kind of along the lines of the sex offender registry. This is free information that's out there. They've been found guilty by a court, so it's not just like rumors and stuff. It's legitimate documents.
All right, so mandated reporters, who are they? There are a lot of folks that are mandated reporters, such as physicians, nurses, assistants, caregivers, nurse practitioners, and they're responsible for taking care of vulnerable adults. And they're also responsible if they see a maltreatment or if they see neglect, abuse, that they should report that to APS or to law enforcement. Okay, and a person who retaliates against someone in good faith that report maltreatment, that person can be guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. So again, nurses, doctors, POAs, all those folks are supposed to be reporting maltreatment to APS. And we have this online training course. It's a computer-based training course, and this will just, if you can or have access to the computer, you can access this course online, and it's just solidified that we talk about today how to recognize maltreatment. And if you have time on your computer, or maybe come to the senior center and someone can help you access this website and go through it again. It's a great training, online training. And so I wanted to talk to you. Have anyone in this room see any TV ads on Speak Up campaign, AZ Speak Up? Anyone see that ad? There's one sign here on Grant on Speedway. It's the Speak Up campaign. Have you guys not heard about that?
Yeah.
What is the ad for?
The Speak Up campaign, speakupaz.org. It's on the news. It's on commercials. Well, okay, so let me explain what that is. This is a task force that the governor has been working on, and the goal of this task force is to ensure that all Arizonans are safe and educate each Arizonan how to recognize neglect and abuse. So back in 2019, I'm not sure if you guys remember, there was an awful incident that happened in at a facility where a lady got pregnant by a caregiver. And because of that, as part of the task force, the governor at that time wanted to, make sure, what can we do differently so everyone knows how to report, how to recognize maltreatment. And so they have this Speak Up campaign and say, it's your responsibility. If you see something, say something. So again, it's on billboards, it's on TV commercials. And again, we have information. I have information for all of you today, so you can take it home, read it at your own leisure, and how to report. So that's the goal, is to educate every Arizonan on how to report maltreatment and how to recognize it. And this is our website, and I'm not going to go into this too much, but our website is available for services, DES website, and there are domestic violence, how to get housing. There's a lot of information on the website, because I want to save time for questions. And Joe, do you want to talk about APS internal resources that we have right now?
We actually have a brand new program. It's called our APS coordination team, and that is an in-house service provider. So if an investigator goes out, they investigate, they find out, hey, you just need Meals on Wheels, or you need a bio cleanup, or you need mobile doc. We will refer that to our care coordination team. And our care coordination team will connect with the vulnerable adult and kind of get those services started. Are you guys familiar with AAA? We have AAA down here too. Okay, yes. So we partner really with AAA as well. So by creating this care coordination team, we're taking some of the burden off of them. I know in the Phoenix area, they were only able to take 10 cases per month because the need was so high. Now that we're stepping in and taking out some of those smaller referrals, now they can take additional cases to help additional people. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing out here in the Tucson area, just because I know Phoenix and Tucson are the two biggest cities. Yes, ma'am.
What is AAA?
Area on Agency.
Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah. Area and Agency on Aging. Yep.
Yeah. And so this
not if you get a flat tire. I got them in one spot too.
All right, and this team will also help starting that all text application for you, but they cannot be your representative, right? And again, if you have a cleanup like bed bugs, they'll help you get that resource into your home. We also have another program with the caregiver resources where you can get up to $1,000 reimbursement if you apply for this program and you qualify. So the information is on here as well, and I have information in the bags for you. And again, here's some of our website. Here's the website of some of our agents like AAAs, and here they are: Family Caregiver Reimbursement Program, Long-Term Ombudsman. So those are some of the other services that we have that support aging and adult services. And with that said, I wanted to save some time for questions. So Maya, you want to take it over for our online?
Yeah, thank you. So thanks so much for being here. And I do have a couple of questions that came in that I would like to ask. So let's just clarify, because somebody did ask about the AAA. So that is your area agency on aging. In Tucson or in Pima County, it is Pima Council on Aging, which we partner with a lot down here. So just so everybody is aware of that. So yes, not your card, not for your car. So,
I made that mistake once too when I first started. I'm like, oh, so like I could just call the number on the back of my insurance and they'll come out and help us? Yeah.
That's right.
Not one of my brightest moments.
What sorts of scams should we be aware of on Facebook, and how can we avoid those? Because a lot of people are using their social media these days. So I guess that would be a question that we received.
So one of the ones that I know about is when you get a friend request from somebody that you already are friends with. The scammer probably got a profile picture. It's so easy now. And now they're acting as your loved one because they know you know them because you're already friends with them. And you're not thinking, and you're like, oh, yeah, I know so-and-so. I'm going to accept it. Well, now they have access to your friends list. If you have any personal information in there, such as, where did you last check in at? If you follow your bank online, now they know which place you bank with. That's probably the biggest one. Yes, ma'am.
I got one on Facebook yesterday. It happened before from someone I know, posting at someone I know. And they said, have you heard the good news? I said, what good news? And they said, Department of Health and Human Services is accessing money for people that are disabled or need an aid. We can help you get access to this money. And and it turns out if you send some, and I'm like, no, I'm not falling for this. I've stepped in before, I'm not doing it again. Thank you, I'm blocking you.
A lot of times too, some of these are just ways to get into your computer. So have you guys heard of like computer worms? So they're sort of like a virus. Yeah. So you'll get a message from somebody that you think is legit. It'll be like, hey, click this link, and it doesn't do it. And the page just flashes and it's white. They're infecting your computer for maybe next month. They're going to say, hey, we found a virus on your computer. Now your computer is locked. Send us money. Yes.
Can you hold 1 second? We're doing the online questions first, and then we'll come to you. Give us one moment.
No, yeah, thank you. I want to make sure that everyone can hear online as well. I do want to ask also about, you had a category up there for about Amazon. So what types of scams are you seeing around the Amazon category?
The mail, the ones that you get in the mail. You have a package.
It's becoming text message now. Hey, there was an issue with your delivery. Yep, we're trying to send you this package. Click on this link to update your information.
Don't do it.
If by chance, again, we're all human, we all make mistakes. If by chance you click on that link, do you have a web page that you can bring up? If you look at the web link, it may say like www.amazon.something funky, like WXP. Then back out of that right away. So definitely look at your web browser. And like I said, we're all going to make mistakes. It's going to happen, especially if you did order something from Amazon. So if you happen to click on the link, go to that web browser and make sure you read it really well.
And actually, Amazon does answer their phone. Go online or get their phone number from your account. Say contact us. on your account. And if you call that phone number, they answer that phone. And so if they answer, then you ask. But again, try not to click on those. You got a package delivered from Amazon. Did you even order a package? Don't click on it.
Also,
congratulations. No.
yeah, the U.S. Postal Service, they're starting to do that too. You know, I had one client one time, she was like, why do I get this? I've lived here for 25 years. You know, yeah, she's always got mail, so that was a scam. But yeah, Amazon, and now they're starting to use the U.S. Postal Service. And it'll be this similar text message.
So do not click the link is an important one, obviously, and that would be in your emails too. I know that there's oftentimes, if you don't know who that sender is, you should not click that link. And so, you know, just for folks to be aware. And with the mail these days, I had somebody just commented about, you know, not being sure about even opening some of their mail. So I don't know if you've got any comments on that. I know through the mail you can get an email that shows you what mail is coming into your box, so you would know that in advance, which might help, you know, to see sort of what types of mail that you're receiving. But if you're concerned about a friend or a loved one who may be being scammed, you know, what can you do? I mean, should you call? And I'm for everybody, I guess, you know, if you feel that they are being scammed, they can call 911 too, as well, correct? They can call the police as far as.
I would probably say not so much 911, but maybe your local sheriff or your local police department.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what. Yeah, it's for the non-emergency number, of course. Right.
Yeah. And IRS will never call you, and you know, let the message go to the voicemail and then check it. If someone call and you don't know the number, recognize the number, let it go to voicemail. Then you check it to see who it is. And you know, an old school way to make sure you have a shredder. Don't be throwing stuff in your trash can with your name and address. And for crying out loud, do not give anyone your social security number over the phone. Please do not give them your social security over the phone.
I think also another safeguard, especially with a lot of these email and internet scams, but by ordering things offline, is create a separate email address, you know, just for like online shopping. So you have your personal email address for family and friends, but then if you do use Amazon, if you do use eBay, set up a separate email address just because you know that's going to be advertisements and junk.
That's a great suggestion, and somebody commented that they meant their email as far as you know, being concerned. Obviously, there are lots of phishing scams within emails that people should look for as well, and you know, so definitely do not click the links in those, particularly if you don't know who is sending them. And also, I think using strong passwords, right? Because that's the other way that they end up. Sometimes a lot of people use the same password. So making sure that you're using these unique passwords to make, you know, just to make your security a little bit stronger when you are on the internet. So I want to thank you, and I want to turn it over to your in-person audience. I'm going to wrap up online. I'm going to turn it over to your in-person audience so you can continue to ask questions there. But I want to thank you so much from our online audience for being here today. So I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, you had a question.
Thanks so much for being here today. We will be back. Our next presentation is going to be will actually be coming up. We're wrapping up for January. So for now, we will see you again for our next presentation. Our Wednesday, January 24th presentation has been canceled, and we are looking to get it rescheduled. So please note that. And we will be back in person on February 7th for Exercise Your Way to a Healthy Heart during Heart Month. So we will see you then. Thank you.